Ms. Dan Price. Mr. Chairman, on April 2nd, the leaders of the G20 will be gathering in London to address issues of the global economy and financial market reform. Could you tell us what that gathering of leaders could usefully do to move things along, particularly on the agenda you mentioned? Thank you.
Well, it's a difficult question because there's questions of what can be accomplished in that kind of forum, and a lot depends on the work that's being done now in advance by deputies and staff and finance ministers who are trying to set up the program. I think that from the perspective of the G20, that the focus ought to be on the international aspects, obviously, of this crisis. I talked today primarily about what the United States can do, and I left implicit, and perhaps I shouldn't have in front of the Council of Foreign Relations, the fact that this is very much an international problem, and it requires international solutions. In particular, we need to work together effectively to make sure that we have solutions for our banking systems that are not mutually inconsistent or create problems across jurisdictions. We need to make sure that we're working together to stabilize the banking system and to avoid the failure of systemically critical firms. We need to begin to establish a framework, and I think it's asking too much for a meeting like that to come out with detailed proposals in many different areas. I think the better goal for a meeting of leaders would be, as much as possible, to establish some principles that would guide reforms around the world, because ultimately reforms not only have to be effective, but they have to be coordinated. They need to work for institutions and for markets that cross borders. We have banks, insurance companies with subsidiaries in 100 countries or 120 countries, and there's so many jurisdictions that dealing with problems in one of those companies is extraordinarily complicated. And in order to do that successfully, we need to have agreements, conventions that will help us work across jurisdictions in an effective and cooperative way.